Good afternoon, this is Steve with Born Again Torinos. I don't remember the number of this video, but I wanted to show you some progress here. I did get the engine compartment done. This is one of my least favorite things to do. It would be so much easier if the engine wasn't in this, but that's just the way it is. And I kind of wanted to show you guys some of the things you run into when you buy a 40-something-year-old car. Yeah, this thing starts right up, and it seems to be decent. But when I'm taking things apart for painting in here, I'm finding all these, like this vacuum manifold here. This right here is the manifold for all your different vacuums, and they can come in here and they can distribute it throughout. Well, not only is this vacuum here non-existent, this one here has no vacuum running to it. This right here is the overflow vacuum canister over there. That little looks like a coffee can. That's your reservoir for vacuum. It's running to here, but nothing else is running to here, so it means that's totally dead. That's doing nothing. And I found all sorts of things disconnected to the air cleaner. Lots of sealed off vacuum lines. Things like this. Just laying here. Unplugged. Doing nothing. So, it's a little puzzling because things are working on it, but I don't know where those things go. It's nice that it's original, and you can tell people have been in here doing things. Like it's got some new belts. The plugs look fine. Wires are good. This seems to be a, see, I don't know for sure if only California cars had smog pumps, but this has a smog pump. So you can see it down there. This is part of it here, and it runs down to the pump. It's totally unnecessary. I wonder if you can see it from below. That cylinder looking thing right there is the bottom of the smog pump, I believe. So, I don't know. Maybe somebody knows if other states had smog pumps or not. But, Glenn's welcome to take it off. It's not doing it any good. What I also find is when I take all of this off for painting, and under here there's the motor for the wipers, and it all funnels down into a kind of a funnel and a drain hole. So stuff that flows, water and ice melts, and it goes through here, it falls down, drips down, melts down, and then it funnels down and drips out of the car and doesn't collect. That's always plugged. I don't know why people don't clean it. I guess you just don't think about it. But I vacuum all this out, and then I run a rod through that drain, clean it all out, and then I blow it out with air and just make sure that's the draining properly. So I wanted to show you that. Oh, I was going to show you that up here, this car had more runs, and I know this is factory paint that was on here, the green, and it had factory drips and runs all hardened the entire length of this and in here, and I sanded off most of it, but I was tempted because that new craze now of originality and keeping the horrible craftsmanship of the mid-70s on the car so it's more authentic. And I know people are starting to do that. Don't take the flaws away, or when they do freshen it up or do some painting, they'll purposely do a horrible job or a substandard job just so it looks more 70s authentic because of their lack of attention. This was also missing the battery tie down, but I had an extra one because the battery was just flopping around. And it looks like all the air components are present. I haven't tried the air, but the heater and fan worked. That's another odd thing. Now, obvious, this is a aftermarket replacement heater hoses here, and then it's got this doodad. And I don't know what it's for, but it has a vacuum line running off of it. I don't know, pretty sure it's not factory. I don't think I've ever seen one before. And back here, I finished up the trunk. With the black on the quarter panels. So it looks so much nicer. That's that. I think the last thing I wanted to share with you, there was more drips as well in here when I painted the trunk lid. This was just factory runs of the green. And on the floors there was lots of that seam sealer that's in the big gun that they use at the factory when they're putting it together. They run it along the seams. And you can see lots of goopiness of it. And this is the factory goopiness there. And I'm blocking my light again. Well, when they're running the gun, they're dragging it from, carrying it over from one side to the other, and it's dripping out the gun. It's, swirling on the floor. They just leave it, and it hardens, and it's there forever until you scrape it off and repaint. I wanted to show you this. When I was at that Gran Torino at the junkyard, and I was pulling parts off it, I took this out. This is a really rare option for the Torinos. It's a rear window defogger. It's not a de-icer because it has no heat. It's just a fan. And it sucks air from the trunk and blows it on the back window for getting rid of condensation and fogging. So it's got a fan. And it bolts underneath. This is on top like a speaker grill on the hatch shelf. Because you could get, and this doesn't have it, but usually if it has anything, it has a defogger, defroster, which has the wires. You see a little wire come up to this, and on the inside on the sail panel, and all the wires, and that melts everything and does a good job. For some reason, they had a secondary option of the defogger, which was kind of cool. I've only seen one other one of these, and it's they probably used it on the T-Birds and Cougars and all that.